All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bigger, Braver Life Show. My name is Angela Williams. I'm a therapist turned coach, and I'm so excited to have you all today. This is episode 6, and we've had some amazing episodes so far. I love doing this and bringing guests on the show. Tonight, we have a very special guest. Her name is Laura. I'm going to hand it over to her to introduce herself in just a minute. But she is currently my personal coach, and I'm so happy that she's here and she's going to share her amazing goodness with you all as well. So welcome, Laura. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Angela. It is such an honor to be here, and I'm so passionate about your mission to help people live braver lives and go after their dreams and fulfill their potential. And so I'm just honored that you would think of me as being a reflection of that. So thank you. About me, simply put, I'm a brand strategist, but maybe a little bit more than that. We also dig into some of those limiting beliefs about our charisma and our confidence and all of those things that can sometimes keep us from showing up. I also run a content and social media agency, so got a lot going on, but it's really fun to be here.
Yes, well, thank you so much. So, Laura, I would love to start out by asking you, like I ask all of my guests, how are you living a bigger, braver life? Start wherever you want and just tell us about your journey living this bigger, braver life.
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question, and I feel like I could talk about it for a long time. Here's the thing. I live by jumping all in, going all in, always. Like, even when it doesn't make sense, whenever I believe that my guiding principle is that my desires are on my heart for a reason. My calling is on my heart for a reason because it is meant for me. So when I decided to take an unpaid copywriting internship versus a full-time job, I took that braver leap. When that unpaid internship turned into a well-paid full-time copywriting position, I left it when I felt called to take that leap, when I felt that desire. I stopped launching group programs and created a marketing agency when that was my desire. I moved halfway across the country when that was my desire. So it's for me, living a braver life has been a consistent pattern of trusting my calling and my intuition and my dreams and what I know to be true, whether or not it made sense on paper. And for me, that's what it is.
Yes, thank you. And I'm so glad to hear you speak of this. As you know, my coaching work is focused on helping people to discover their true purpose and passion, to break away from how things are normally done, how it may look on paper, and truly embrace a bigger, braver life, a life that, is calling them a higher purpose, a higher calling, career, whatever that may be, that's calling them. And I think you're really personifying this, and I love that. And so tell us a little bit more about how you got into marketing specifically, because I do think we have some folks in our audience who are, interested in marketing, doing some of that work. So go ahead and back up a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, and just tell us how you got into that in the first place.
Yeah. And really quick, if I may, before I jump in, you mentioned that in your work, you really do this. You help people live that. And it's not easy, right? It's not easy. It's extremely scary to follow that. And it's extremely overwhelming, especially when what's on your heart is really huge. And to really believe and take action on the fact that that's meant to be yours, or to even know where to start, is extremely overwhelming for people. And most people get caught and end up procrastinating or not doing the things that they need to, or not even just not, it's not that they're not doing the things they need to be doing. They don't even know where to start. Right. And what I love about your work, just because you brought it up, is I feel like you are exceptional at breaking it down and making it feel doable. Like, one, helping me get clear on what exactly, I know I want to do something, but what the heck it actually is. Right. And then two, like, oh, I actually can take steps to get there. And so I feel like in a way, you do for people what I needed. Because if we go back to the time, so it's leading up, if we go back to that time, I remember, this is going to sound probably really selfish, but I remember I was just like desperate to find a way to earn a living online. I wanted, at the time, I was working a job at my daughter's school. I was miserable. I was in massive student loan debt. I have a master's in psychology. So I needed to be able to pay my student loans. Like, we're talking over 200K in student loan debt at the time.
Wow.
And I sent my daughter to this private Montessori school. I wanted to keep sending her there. That was really important to me. But I didn't want to miss out on her growing up or her life or experiencing her. And I didn't want to get just a tiny bit of time, from 6 to 7 o'clock and then she goes to bed, right? It didn't make sense to me to give up that much of my life to go like have my soul sucked in a cubicle, right? I couldn't. So I was desperate to find a way to make this online thing work. I got to tell you, I'd love to tell you, it started with this big, bold vision or dream. It was like, how do I make some freaking money from home?
Actually, if I may interrupt you, I was thinking about that concept today that, I'm really encouraging folks, especially right now, while we have this momentum of the new year, to really double down and focus in and get intentional about creating this vision for their life, get it organized, get it thorough, know where we're going, right? To eliminate the confusion and to be very clear going forward. But, I was even thinking about, what other coaching or different things might I need throughout the year. I was kind of having this thought, and I thought, I could do this, this, or this. And then I thought to myself, but it's not a priority. I'm not desperate for these things right now. So I think you've nailed that on the head, that we kind of sit and wait almost till we're panicking or desperate or in this dire situation. Some of us, right, that lights that fire under our butt to take massive action. And as I think of it too, all my stories about, or some of my stories about burnout, really I got to a place where I was so burned out, I could not take it anymore. And that's what launched me to go full-time into my business. So that's a really important concept. So for those out there who are watching or listening, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm on the brink, I can't stand this anymore, I need to take this next step, this is going to be really important for you to tune into right now. So yeah, go ahead, Laura.
Thank you. That's so true. That's so true. We could get into like, you gotta push on those pain points, and get them from that, what I call a chronic pain that we live with, to acute pain that we rush to fix. Right. So really good point there. So I remember just spending like hours trying to make sense of how people were doing it. Right. This was back in the day of like, where most people were doing webinars, and I would just attend free webinar after free webinar, not because I wanted to learn the thing they were teaching. Like, I attended some on things I was completely uninterested in. I was just wanting to learn how they were like making money by doing these. And I went to one who it ended up being from a marketing agency for influencers, experts, authors, coaches, and they were essentially promoting their services. And I was like, I want to buy what these people are selling. I don't have a business to market, but I want to buy. This is the first one that's made me want to buy what they're selling. And then I was like, no, it's not so much that I want to buy what they're selling. It's that I want to do what they're doing. So when I mentioned earlier, getting an unpaid internship, instead of, buying on the webinar, I stalked the person, the agency owner, on social media. And I messaged her and I was like, will you mentor me? Will you be my intern? Well, I didn't even know she was looking for an intern at the time, but I was like, will you mentor me? And fortunately she said yes. And she did eventually hire me to work for her agency, and I became their senior copywriter. But that gave me the opportunity, you guys, to work for 7 and 8 figure coaches, major thought leaders of the industry. We're talking Fabian Fredrickson, Marcy Locke, like Rich Litvin, like really known names in the industry, and really see behind the curtain of how those businesses are run. And so when I did feel called to go help emerging coaches, it was from the perspective of like, I want to go show them what these guys are doing differently. And so that's kind of what I've realized is my calling, my mission, that thing that I needed you to help me find sooner was, I'm here to help people receive the important messages they need to hear. Because there's so many people who don't know you're out there, who don't know that they can have help with their calling. There's so many people who don't know that other people watching this are out there and can help them with that thing they are so desperate to fix, right? I didn't know who could help me when I was desperate. And that's what drives me, is I want these messages of the people here in this space to reach the people who need to hear them. So I don't know if that answers your question. But
yeah. So to dig a little deeper into that, I think some people have some struggle in a couple areas. One is, first of all, how do you articulate? How did you know that it was time for you to leave that bigger agency and, first of all, receive the message that you have a different calling, that it's time to go in that different direction? And how did you kind of gather that willpower, bravery to make that step? So 2-part question there.
Are you ready for the most cliche answer ever?
Okay, let's go.
Coaching. By that point, right, when I first went to that marketing agency, when I first started working for them, I had never had a coach before. But working around them, I was like, oh, I need a coach. Right. And it's through that process of coaching that I learned what I really want. I learned what I'm really here to do. I learned what it would actually take for me to do it. And I learned to believe in myself. And I learned, also the practical skills to get the job done. And I know that sounds cliche, but this industry, you can criticize it all you want. This industry changed my life. This industry changed me from desperate, broke, in massive debt, struggling to find a way to have time with my kid, right, to a really empowered business owner who has, I took time off to take my daughter to the doctor today, right? Unfortunately, she's sick, but like, it's given me the life I never knew I always wanted. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. Get yourself a darn coach already.
Right. I love that. And, I think what's cool about coaching is that, there's so many different coaches with so many different specialties, and it's great that you were able to find that in the time that you needed that as well. And I think, a lot of folks that I'm speaking to, they're really high achieving, they're ambitious, they're ready. They do have a higher calling, and they're ready in some level to make that jump, but it is very scary. Like you said, it's hard, it's scary, it's confusing. I've been posting this week about how when I actually was thinking back really far back, and I remember being young and actually wanting to own my own business, be an entrepreneur. And I forgot about that. So I had made a decision, or had that desire very early on. And then, we go along needing to get experience, going to school, all those different things. And then, when I decided, okay, I'm actually going to start my business, my therapy practice, I still sat for a while on that. Like I still sat and had that roll around for a while, because there were so many mindset blocks. There were fears, there were things that held me back, that imposter syndrome, that, fear of failure, fear of, confusion.
Fear of the unknown, people pleasing. What are they going to think? All of it.
Fear of judgment, all of that. Right. Yes. So, so talk to me about, maybe what of those were present for you, and through coaching, maybe what are some things that you learned how to overcome them or think through them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that you said that, because you kind of pointed to something that was, even when you knew what was meant for you, you knew what was on your heart. And by the way, not to get too philosophical on you, but we know what's meant for us because there is a version of ourselves already living it, right? This isn't even like woo-woo coachy stuff. Like even Einstein, published the theory of relativity. A time is not linear. It's happening all at once. So the version of you who already is living in that dream exists. You feel that, that because it's you. Mm-hmm. And so it's meant to be yours. And that's why it's like, it will never go away. And that's why it's so persistent and so almost painful, like literally painful to not live your dreams, because you already, like, it's just out, it's incongruent with the version of you that already exists there. And so here's the thing. I waited, you talked about how coaching impacted me. I waited too long to have coaching in my life. Yeah. And this is what, earlier we were talking about, pushing people through pain points, not pushing them, but guiding them through pain points, through talking about their problems, through nudging, through gentle mentorship and guidance into actually acute pain, so they'll take action. And I think one of the most powerful things coaching has done for me is actually, whether it's either, in an actual coaching session or just in general working with coaches, was it's kind of pushed me into that acute pain where I'll take action. It's made me be uncomfortable. I've had the coaches who have asked me the tough questions that made me look at things differently. Mm-hmm. And one of my very first coach said to me, she said, the quality of your life depends on the quality of your questions. You've probably heard this before. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's true. And so to me, one of the most powerful things that a coach does is, frankly, not let you sit on your tushy and go, I really want to start the business. I really want to write the book. I really want to. And they say, why aren't you doing it? Really? Why? Yeah. Because you're right. The reason you're doing is because of the fear, of the judgment, of the lack of belief, of that. We all think we need like the hard, tangible, do this and do this and do this and do this. And it's not that that's not invaluable, but we also need the person who's going to like mirror us and say, this is your fear talking, not your true self.
Right. And I always like to lovingly refer to it as, a nice little kick in the butt, because that's how I operate. I do need that little kick in the butt sometimes, a loving, supportive, hey, what are you going to do this week to act on your dream instead of just sit there and want it?
You know what? That's the beauty of coaching is, if nothing else, your regular interactions with your coach is that constant, like nobody wants to go to a coaching call and be like, so I didn't do it this week.
Right.
like I've been there. Like if I've been in a lot of resistance around something, or a lot of, like really uncomfortable doing something, it's been like, okay, I've got my meeting with my coach tomorrow. I got to freaking do it.
Right. Right.
But like, even that.
The accountability. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
So it sounds like with coaching, you were able to really overcome your personal mental blocks and have that accountability that, if we were just doing this by ourselves, it's easy to say, oh, well, I'll get to it tomorrow. Because who are you going to answer to?
And I was always an achiever, like driven kind of person. Yeah. So when you say that, I want to be clear. It wasn't like, oh, I'll get to it tomorrow. Oh, I'll get to it tomorrow because I was being lazy. What it looked like, and maybe somebody watching this, maybe you'll hear this and you'll recognize this. For me, what it looked like was I really need to put this client work ahead of what I create for my dreams. I really need to get this copy written. I really need to get this email sent off. I really need to do this for my kid. I really need to do this for my parents. I really need to like make this the most magical Christmas ever. For some reason, I'm completely obsessed with Christmas because I'm avoiding everything, right? Like it didn't look like, oh, I'm putting it off. I'm putting it off. I'm putting it off. I'm putting it off. It looks like, oh, I really need to do this. I really need to do this. But the reality was I wasn't making it a priority, and I needed that reflected to me to be able to see it.
Yeah. One of the powerful questions or statements, I guess I've seen around social media, you've maybe seen this too, but it encourages people to ask instead of, I don't want to do this right now or something. Is it, it's more of, is this a priority? This isn't a priority right now, right?
Right.
So it's putting that dream right in front of you as your priority and doing that first. And one of my other coaches, actually, it might have been Sarah Dan, says that her policy.
Really quick, I want to shift that. Can we shift that from, is this a priority, to, is this a non-negotiable for me?
Ooh, I like that better. Yeah, that's
because
more.
it's like my dream is a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah.
It's so unfathomable that I wouldn't work on my dream. It's like I wouldn't I wouldn't brush my teeth. Like, ew. Like there's no way I wouldn't brush my teeth. There's no way I wouldn't move toward my dream today.
Right.
It's non-negotiable.
Powerful. Yeah, that's and powerful. And I want people to hear that language reflected and what we need to be saying to ourselves and being very mindful of our language. And actually, the previous guest, we had a good discussion about the language we're using and how that's very important too. So I'm glad you brought that up. But I do think that Sarah Dan, one of the other coaches that I've used, her thing was always like, I'm doing the thing that's going to push me forward in my business first, then all the other stuff, then the emails, then whatever that is. So I do appreciate that lesson, from you, the language, and for her, she's modeling putting that priority first. And I think that's so important because you're right. It's easy to put everything else first because it's excusable, frankly, to put other, family or, it's acceptable to other people, but you're the only one that's going to get your dream going. So you've got to make that non-negotiable and that priority.
Yeah. Yeah. I once had a client. It's not Angela. I once had a client and she's like, I'm the only one getting this done. I'm the one doing everything. It's all on me. And I was like, yes, exactly.
Right.
That's how this works.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And so it's something to think about, is like, are you making it a non-negotiable for you to, and it's not that there's not a role in a coach, right? Like, let's say you're sitting there right now and you're meant for more, you have a bigger potential, but maybe you're not 100% sure exactly what that looks like. Or even if you do know what that looks like, you cannot see your way from here to there. That's when you really need someone like Angela, who's going to help you like get super, super clear. Know your vision, know your purpose, know your mission, know your values, know what you're here for, and be so aligned and in action towards it that you're capable of building momentum. Because if you don't have that in place, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. No marketing strategies are going to work. No advertising strategies are going to work. No whatever it is you're going to try to do. Like, you can't write the book, you can't start the business, you can't run the nonprofit, you can't start the movement, you can't change the world until you know your mission, your vision, your values, where the F you're going, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Like, you got to have that. And you got to keep having that. I've got to tell you, at this point, and I don't mean to belabor this point, but at this point, I would consider myself a pretty darn experienced business owner. I've been in business for years now. I've had multiple iterations of my business, from a full-time copywriting, freelancing business, to a coaching business, to digital courses, to an agency, right? And I've been behind the scenes in a lot of businesses, and you always need that. Yes. That doesn't go away. It's not like you graduate from needing that.
Right. Yep. Agreed. And I think that our visions can change, right? So we can start with, like you said, one iteration of this vision or this plan, and then it grows or it shifts or it might take on some additional pieces, right? So I even tell my clients and guide them through these exercises that we need to be revisiting these visions like quarterly, at least,
Yes.
right? To check in.
Are we daily?
Right?
Put it on your freaking monitor when you sit down in the morning.
Yes. And that's the same too with the vision board, right? You've got that visual that you can always be looking at and saying, okay, where am I at, and getting that inspiration and motivation from there. Yeah, absolutely. It's just this ongoing tweaking process. And, as we learn and we grow and we morph, as this process goes along. So absolutely, it's definitely a regular thing to come back to. And I'm actually surprised now that I'm getting more into guiding people to really take a good hard look at their mission, at their values, how often we don't do that, right? Even the vision, even the plan to get from A to B, we don't really invest. We just kind of muddle along. We say, okay, I think it's over there somewhere. We're just going to kind of try out a bunch of different things. And you can do that, of course, but
you can,
like
think about this. Think about this. Okay. We don't live too far from each other. Right. All right. Angela's in Orlando-ish area. I'm in the Tampa-ish area. Let's say Angela and I wanted to road trip to New York City. Well, for one thing, even the fact that we know it's New York City is more than what you're talking about, right? Let's say we were just like, we want to go somewhere on the eastern seaboard that's a beach, right? On the northeast seaboard. We're just going to drive or how long do you think it would take us to find the Hamptons, right? Like we didn't know where we're going, if we didn't have directions, if we just were like, we're just going to drive in that direction. Who knows where the heck we'd end up? Like, are you willing? Listen to me right now. Are you willing to risk your life, your vision, your purpose, your mission, your calling on this planet? Are you willing to risk that to, like, I'm generally speaking going in the right direction? Because I'm freaking not.
No, I don't have time for it. This is the thing, is that's what people do though. They will say, okay, I'm going and I'm going to try to figure this all out on my own and without this direction. But that's why a lot of people drop out and quit and give up on their dream, because that's freaking hard. And who has the time for that? It's stressful.
And who knows? You're not going to get there. You're not going to get there. If that's how you're operating, you're not going to get there. Right. You may as well just quit, honestly.
Exactly.
Because for real, like, just go get a job. You guys, it's easier. Like, I'm assuming, maybe you don't want to start a business or whatever, but like, stop writing the book. Don't go get the job. Don't start the nonprofit. Forget your movement. Like, it's just as miserable of a life as that is, because it will be so soul sucking. Yeah. It's so much easier than wandering around aimlessly looking for something that you don't know exactly what
that shit is painful too, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. Way worse.
So yeah, absolutely. And I think that really, drives that point home that we need to be very clear about what we're doing, where we're going, how we're doing that. And we need support along the way, just like with the directions. We need that turn by turn instruction. We need that guidance, because we get off to go to the bathroom. We go to pit stops. We have to get gas.
We like take the wrong exit in Atlanta because it's confusing.
It really is.
Like, true though.
Yeah, right? But then we need to get back on the road and we need to go where we're going. And that's where that instruction and guidance from a coach, mentor can help you. You will not, look, we can talk about junk in the coaching industry. I'm not going to say there's not junk in the coaching industry, but here's the thing. Even the junk, you are better for it. Like, I've legit had bad coaching experiences. I've had fantastic coaching experiences. I've had bad coaching experiences. I'll take it all, because I would not be anywhere close to where I am today without it. Yeah.
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt. No
That's
doubt.
a really great point. Tell me what you learned from your worst coaching experience. Because we learn from the bad stuff too, right? We still learn.
We totally learn from the bad stuff. And I gotta tell you, I'm gonna tell you what I learned from the bad stuff, but I'm gonna stall for a minute because I'm gonna think about how to phrase it without giving the coach's name away, because I don't think they're a bad person and I don't want to tarnish their reputation. But so while I give my brain a minute to do that, I want to say one of the things, if you don't mind, that I so appreciate about you as a coach is you're not like just some, I don't mean to downplay this, but like, you're not like just somebody who like was like a housewife who was like bored and like wanted to do something and decided like, oh, I'm going to try this coaching thing. It looks fun. I'm going to be a life coach. And I don't mean to talk bad about anybody, but like, you're so qualified. You've been a therapist, you've built businesses, you've overcome massive, incredible leaps and bounds in your life. You've achieved amazing things, but you're highly qualified. And I know that doesn't matter to everybody, but it's become something because I do want rich coaching experiences. It's something that's come to matter to me, right? That you actually, the fact that you are actually qualified to be my therapist tells me that you can help me process and work through anything, even if you haven't been through it. In fact, sometimes I've learned that the best coaches aren't bringing their personal junk to the relationship. They just have the skill set to help you work through your personal junk, and they're not bringing their. So everybody wants to say, and for those of you who maybe want to be a coach, you know, you hear this message of like your message, and you have to have been through the junk and blah 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 blah. I want to say like sometimes it's actually better that you're not bringing all of your personal hardships to it. I think one of the reasons, and I'll get to my coaching experience, don't worry. I think one of the reasons I've been really successful at coaching entrepreneurs in building their brand and creating messages that drive sales and all of this kind of stuff like this is I came from a copywriting background as a copywriter, as somebody from sales and marketing, not necessarily like me starting, I didn't come brand new to this industry with a coaching business. And so I think having that outside person who's like has the expertise, but isn't bringing their emotional baggage to the relationship is really valuable. And I appreciate that about you. And all of your expertise. The biggest thing that I learned from a negative coaching relationship was, can I say I'm a badass? That I'm a badass. That
I told you I was going to verify that skill on LinkedIn when it becomes available.
Like that I can trust myself, that I know what I'm doing, that when advice feels wrong to me, it is wrong for me. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's right for somebody else, it's wrong for me. And that yes, our coaches are there to challenge us and help us grow. And we don't want to just say, oh, that's not for me. Oh, that's not for me. Oh, that's not for me. But when you know that that's not the right move for you, that that's not the right strategy for you, that that's not the right action for you, trust that over everything. One of the things I'll tell Angela or anybody else is I trust your intuition over everything. So I'll say, look, this is best practice. This is what my experience tells me. This is, where we usually go in marketing strategy. But I trust your intuition over everything. And that's what I learned from my negative coaching experience.
And actually, I was reflecting on that too, of just, I guess, life experience in general too. It is that answer. It's always the trust your gut and do what's right for you. Because if you don't, it's kind of like you have to live with that, right? You're the one, not anyone else. And I think that's a really great point and something that I put as one of the central pieces in my work with clients, whether they're therapy clients, coaching clients, whatever, is to trust that gut, to check in, see how it feels, see if that's true to you. And I really appreciate that you use that as a grounding piece or a cornerstone piece of your coaching as well, because that supports the alignment for individuals to grow and learn and make their own decisions and make sure it's the right thing for them, because you're right. Not everybody's going to have the right answers. Everybody's life is different, everybody's style, whatever. So I think that's really a great point. And I would even echo that in my life. That is a lesson that I've relearned multiple times.
Yeah, there are things that work for, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example that I can totally give without saying anything bad about anybody. So in my experience, high pressure sales work, right? Mm-hmm. They do. I'm just going to be honest. They do. They do. People buy. Mm-hmm. In my experience, they're completely not for me. And I actually go almost to the extreme, the other directions. I will powerfully stand for you to make a change in your life, but you gotta want it from me, right? You gotta want it from me. So almost to the other extreme, almost like the opposite of high pressure sales, not even just not high pressure sales, but the opposite of I literally one time had a client, when she was signing up for me, be like, I feel like I've been chasing you. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what feels true to me. What feels true to me is I want you ready to take action. I want you to be certain that in this decision, I want, so ultra low pressure.
Right.
So again, it's one of those things where it doesn't mean high pressure doesn't work. It means it's not for me. And my intuition knows that to be true.
Right. Yep.
A perfect example of sometimes you've just got to know what works for you.
That's great. Absolutely. I would echo that 100% in whatever you're doing. And I think sometimes people have the question or have difficulty understanding what is their gut from maybe, being nervous or, the limiting beliefs and things like that. And, I think that's a really great thing to delve into with a coach, right? Is to be able to figure that piece out.
Yeah, but here's a hack. The truth always feels expansive and light, and the lies always feel heavy. So if you close your eyes, one of the favorite exercises I do, I know I've made Angela do this, I know I've made people do this, but if you close your eyes and you say something that is absolutely a factual lie, so, I live here in Florida. So if I say I'm from Alaska, right? It just I can feel right. This is why lie detector tests work, right? I can feel that. Whereas if I say I'm from Florida and I feel that it's openness, it's expansiveness, it's lightness. And so if you're really struggling with a decision, let's say your decision is, should Angela be my coach? And by the way, the answer is 100% yes. But sit with it and be and it may take practice. It may take practice, but if ever, it may not be as pronounced as you want it to be right away. But if your gut reaction is ever noticeably tightening, it's a no, it's a fear response, it's a judgment response, it's a acting out of playing small response. Whereas if your gut reaction is maybe a lightness or an expansiveness or an excitement, or it's a yes. And it's learning to trust that. And then it's learning to sense when it's a little bit not so an immediate jerk reaction, but which way is it leaning?
Yes. That's a good point too. Because when I share that exercise with folks, sometimes there is that in between. It's not the hard yes or no. So that's a really good point too.
Yeah. And that's the nuance to work with the coach with, right? So you can start, I feel it's pretty doable on your own to start recognizing this is a no, or this is a yes. It's the I don't, because anxious and excitement feel a lot the same, right? And there's kind of a spectrum here. And I know that's something that you work with people on decoding, and I'm super grateful for having spent some time with that. It's 100% worth it, because here's the thing, you guys, here's the thing. When you learn to master that, you make precise decisions in your life. You make exact decisions. You make certain decisions. You're not spending time or wasting time in indecision and on the fence, which is, by the way, what separates really successful people. Part of the reason why I love Angela's branding about like braver life is very successful people make brave decisions. They decide, they go for it, they choose it, they take action. They don't second guess, they don't doubt, they don't waste time on the fence, they don't question themselves. Like, do you think Elon Musk is like sitting there being like, well, could I maybe build an electric car? Do you think that would even work? Like, oh, would people buy it? Oh, what if it's ugly? Oh, like, what if it doesn't work? What if I spend all this time and it like he's not doing that. He's like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and he does it.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's a brave decision, and it's a risky decision, and it's a scary decision, but it's the singular path to greatness.
Love that. Beautifully said.
You got me on my soapbox, Angela.
I love it so much. So, as we're kind of wrapping up today, I appreciate you sharing all of this amazing goodness, and I'd love to hear people's feedback on this because this is so juicy. But I'd love to hear, if you just had to give some words of advice, some support, some lasting thoughts, what would that be?
Oh, you really put me on the spot.
I really did.
Make braver decisions. Take more risks. Do the dang thing already.
Yeah.
Do it. And you know what? Like, do it. Like, I don't know. Just do it. If people are like, oh, failure is a part of success. And that's probably true. But actually, like, my experience is I win more from big leaps than I lose, by far. Mm-hmm. It's so, the wins outweigh the losses so magnificently that it like it doesn't even, I don't even see the failure.
Yep.
So like, yeah, just stop doubting yourself, stop questioning yourself, pull the trigger already, make a decision. Yeah, that's it. That's my advice.
Love it. Perfect. Yes. Thank you so much, Laura, for being here, and tell everyone where they can find you, where they can see your great work.
Oh, thanks for having me. Where do I want to send people? You know what? Hit me up on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, take your preference. I'm all there. Mm-hmm. You can, if you want like free stuff, you can go to my website. You can probably give that to them.
I will. I'll be putting all of your contact info in the notes.
I got free stuff. I don't send sucky emails, so you don't have to be afraid. And I don't send a lot of emails. It's like,
true. That's a really great amount and juicy, packed full of goodness emails.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like really, I'm not somebody who likes receiving a ton of emails. And so I really treat my email list exactly how I want to be treated. And here's what I want for my emails. I want like good stories and connections with the people I find interesting, meaty value, and like somewhat regular, but not like constant contact.
Yeah.
Is what you get.
I love it. Yep. Perfect. All right. So we know how to reach you. Thank you, Laura, so much for being on. For everyone who's listening, thanks for being here. And we will catch you in the next episode.
What? Stop. Angela. Okay.
Oh, here we go. We're going to have a live coaching session right here.
I'm going to do it for her.
Do it.
If you are sitting here listening to this, you would not be if you weren't here to make a braver decision. If you were not here to live a bigger dream, if you didn't know that you had greater potential in your life, if you weren't sitting there going, I know there's flipping more for me, you would not be here. You would have shut this off already. You would be so sick of hearing my voice because I talk too much. You'd be over it. So that tells me that you're either crushing it, going after your dreams, living large, a high flyer, and it's time to review that mission because the last time you wrote it was like 3 years ago and it's totally shifted. Or you need that kick in the pants to get clear on that vision, to get clear on that mission, to get clear on your values and what you want and how to get there. And you need Angela. Either way, you need to book a call with Angela. And here's the deal. Angela doesn't do high pressure sales either. Angela does value. Angela does helping you make a decision. Angela does helping you find clarity. You literally have not a single thing to lose by spending 15 minutes. I don't know how long her calls are. 15 minutes with her. I guarantee you, you will walk away with that from that 15 minutes with more clarity, more direction, more understanding, more ability to make decisions. And if you decide to continue on from there, you're a lucky ass human being. Oh, sorry for the language.
Go for it.
But if you don't, she's going to send you with love and support you anyway. So just do it already.
Yeah.
Send my piece.
All right, y'all. This is why I hired her. She's the best. And you heard her. So bam, give me a call. Let's do it. All right. We'll see you in the next episode. Have a good one.